The James Dean mystery finally solved and isn't good. The planned CGI resurrection of James Dean, 70 years after his death, has a film enthusiasts both fascinated and concerned. His restless ghost, or at least his myth, still rides with us today, half a century after the iconic actor took that fatal last drive in his Porsche Spyder. A licensing agreement between CMG Worldwide Hannibal Media and Marcus Winslow, Dean's estate trustee, paved the way for this digital revival originally planned for 2022. James Dean's legacy burns bright even 63 years after his passing. His estate rakes in about $5 million each year from posters, artwork ads, and merchandise with his image. This big financial success played a key role in the decision to create an AI version of Dean. The news of his digital appearance in a Vietnam War action drama, Finding Jack, sparked outrage back in 2019, though the project was later canceled. Dean's brief career still strikes a chord with people today, as shown by the heated debate around this biopic attempt. Many fans feel a bittersweet connection to his last movie, wondering what could have been. James Byron Dean, born in Marion, Indiana, left an unforgettable mark on cinema and popular culture. Doctors pronounced him dead shortly after he arrived at the hospital following his crash. His tragic end adds to the mysteries and stories that surround his persona, which we'll explore in this piece. James Dean inspires fictional detectives decades after death. James Dean's influence lives on 50 years after his fatal car crash. His persona and legacy have sparked creative detective stories in mystery fiction. Two mystery novels, Reed Farrell Coleman's The James Deans and Robert Evers's Digging James Dean, came out at almost the same time. Each book takes a unique look at Dean's cultural impact. How the James Deans novel uses Dean as a metaphor. Coleman's The James Deans portrays the iconic actor as a symbolic presence rather than a character. The story takes place in Brooklyn and nearby areas in 1983. Mo Prager, a middle-aged Jewish businessman, runs wine shops with his brother. The title, The James Deans, refers to a group of wannabe rebels in Hallworth, a wealthy New Jersey town. These rebels become crucial to solving the story's central mystery. Coleman's work shows Dean's powerful effect on suburban youth during the Eisenhower years. An aging reporter tells Prager, "It was the 50s. Mr. Prager and James Dean was a Hallworth kind of hero. The boys in an affluent town like this couldn't relate to guys who played it tough like Brando or Lee Marvin or even Vic Morrow, but James Dean. And when he died in a car crash, it just sealed the deal." Dean's cultural significance becomes shorthand for rebellious angst that appeals to different generations. Prager looks into events that happened years after Dean's death, yet the actor's presence lingers throughout the story. This symbolic use of Dean shows how his short career created a lasting model of youthful rebellion that exceeded his actual work. The book also uses Dean's tragic end to represent unanswered questions and pointless loss themes that fit noir storytelling perfectly. Dean's random 1955 crash becomes a philosophical reference point for the contemplative Prager as he faces mortality and injustice. Why Digging James Dean centers on his physical remains. Evers takes a more direct approach to Dean's legacy in Digging James Dean. Nina Zero, an ex-con turned tabloid photographer, discovers what could be her biggest story. Someone steals dead celebrities' bones from graveyards across the country. The book offers a dark satire of celebrity worship. Nina's search brings her to the Church of Divine Thespians, a mysterious Hollywood group that might plan rituals with the stolen remains. This made-up cult believes they can tap into mystical powers by having icons' remains, or as one character suggests, maybe they're cloning him from the DNA in his bones. The novel shows how celebrity obsession goes beyond symbolism into a kind of morbid fascination. Nina's story becomes personal after betrayal leads to murder. Frank, a slovenly assassin of celebrity reputations, joins her investigation. Their partnership shows how the tabloid world both worships and destroys famous people. The story's premise, that in Hollywood, the bones of dead celebrities are literally worth killing for, perfectly captures how the entertainment industry turns icons like Dean into commodities. While Coleman takes a more abstract view, Evers makes readers face death's physical reality while breaking down our cultural obsession with celebrity. Both novels prove James Dean's image carries huge cultural significance. Their covers show parts of Dean's face, even a fragment immediately speaks to potential readers. These works demonstrate how Dean's early death turned him into a lasting symbol that inspires creative work across media, from movies to books, and now to James Dean CGI projects that aim to bring him back digitally. Authors reimagine Dean's legacy through noir storytelling. Noir fiction sets up a perfect backdrop to learn about James Dean's mysterious charm. Contemporary authors craft detailed detective stories that capture the actor's brooding personality. Crime fiction, with its themes of moral ambiguity, existential questions, and sudden death, offers the right structure to reimagine Dean's cultural impact beyond his short filmography. This impact continues through James Dean CGI projects. Mo Prager's reluctant return to investigation. Reed Farrell Coleman's The James Deans features protagonist Mo Prager, who strikes a chord with Dean's screen presence, though in quite a different way. Prager, who left his cop career to become a wine merchant, battles inner demons similar to Dean's troubled characters. His search for a missing young political aide named Moira Heaton pulls him back to a life he tried to escape. This mirrors how the James Dean estate keeps bringing the actor's image back decades after his death. Prager shows a mature version of the rebel Dean once played. This aging Jewish ex-cop in 1980s Brooklyn moves through a moral landscape filled with gray areas. Unlike Dean's youthful fire, Prager's rebellion shows up as tired cynicism paired with an unwavering sense of justice. His battle with looming mortality creates an interesting contrast to Dean's eternal youth, frozen at 24 by his fatal crash. Coleman's noir storytelling links Prager's investigation to modern attempts at a James Dean biopic or digital revival. Both tasks involve putting together pieces of history to create something that feels real, yet remains unfinished. Prager's detective work becomes a symbol of how we build meaning from cultural icons like Dean. We gather clues from bits of information to create a story that makes sense. The story's Reagan-era American setting adds insight about selling rebellion, a theme that fits well with discussions about James Dean movie projects using new tech to profit from his image. Coleman subtly asks if icons like Dean can stay genuine when repackaged for new audiences. Nina Zero's punk rebellion and Dean-like angst. Robert Evers's Digging James Dean takes a different path with Nina Zero, an ex-prisoner whose punk attitude and outsider status channel Dean's rebellious spirit for modern times. Nina embodies today's version of the Dean archetype, angry, disillusioned, but gifted with raw talent and magnetic appeal. Her job as a tabloid photographer, hunting celebrity graves, offers commentary on society's fixation with dead icons. Nina's character proves Dean's influence crosses gender lines. Her punk style reimagines Dean's 1950s rebellion through female eyes. Her criminal past and fight for redemption match Dean's screen roles. Troubled souls looking for connection in a world that doesn't get them. Her investigation of grave robberies works both as a plot device and a symbol of how our culture keeps digging up Dean's legacy, like in the James Dean last movie created through CGI. Evers shapes Nina as both victim and avenger, showing the same duality found in Dean's best roles. Through her story, we see how Dean's angst connects with generation after generation of cultural outsiders. Her self-discovery during the investigation reflects our shared attempt to understand what Dean truly meant beyond his carefully built image. Both novels use noir elements, the flawed detective, moral uncertainty, hidden motives, and surprising betrayals, to study how Dean's short career still influences American culture. These stories offer views on the ethics of bringing cultural icons back through technology, touching on recent James Dean CGI debates that have split film fans and industry experts. Through these noir retellings, Coleman and Evers question if we can ever truly know James Dean, or if that very mystery might be the heart of why he still fascinates us. Fictional mysteries echo real-life questions about Dean. The mystery novels about James Dean written today reflect the same unanswered questions that have surrounded the actor since his death. Coleman's The James Deans and Evers's Digging James Dean weave intricate mysteries that capture our endless fascination with Dean's short life and lasting impact. What happened to Moira Heaton in the James Deans? Coleman's novel centers on Moira Heaton's story, a young intern working for rising state senator Stephen Brightman. She vanished without a trace after leaving Brightman's office on Thanksgiving Eve, 1981. Her disappearance set off events that would affect many lives and created suspicion that almost ruined Brightman's political future. Thomas Geary, a local big shot, pushed reluctant investigator Mo Prager to look into this cold case 2 years later. Prager didn't want to take it, but ended up accepting, not because of threats or money, but because of the human cost. It always was. This mirrors how Dean's estate balances business interests while protecting his true legacy. Prager put together a ragtag team of cops, ex-cops, a U.S. Marshal, and an alcoholic reporter to find out what happened. The case became personal since Moira was an ex-policeman's daughter, just like Prager. This connection reminds us how fans of Dean's CGI projects feel personally invested in protecting his image. The case seemed solved when someone confessed to Moira's murder. In spite of that, Prager felt something was wrong. It seemed too easy, too perfect. His gut feeling proved right as he learned someone had manipulated him. He then found a much more sinister secret has been hidden by a powerful group of friends for many years. These layers of deception echo the mysteries around Dean's brief life and the biopics that never capture his true essence. Why Nina becomes a suspect in her sister's murder. Evers's mystery starts with tabloid photographer Nina Zero, looking into cemetery robberies, focusing on the theft of James Dean's remains from his Indiana grave. Nina's reporter friend, Frank, tells her someone might be trying to clone him from the DNA in his bones, a plot that oddly predicts today's discussions about AI-generated Dean movies. Nina's life falls apart at the same time. She faces eviction from her Venice Beach home has issues with her parole officer. She's on parole for manslaughter and learns about her mother's death from a stroke. She meets her estranged sister, Sharon, at the funeral after 20 years apart. Sharon stays one night at Nina's place, catching up, but betrays her by stealing $19,000 and running away. Later, someone finds Sharon beaten to death in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery after a failed raid on the crypt of silent movie legend Rudolph Valentino. Dean and Valentino's connection as young stars who died too soon mirrors discussions about Dean's final movie and what could have been. The police think Nina killed her sister, creating two mysteries: Sharon's murderer and its link to the grave robberies. Nina's investigation reveals connections between her sister's death, a teenage runaway named Teresa, former film star Chad Stonewell, and an insidious cult obsessed with bringing dead celebrities back to life. These novels use unsolved mysteries as symbols for Dean's lingering questions. Coleman and Evers tap into our fascination with unfinished stories, particularly Dean's life cut short. Their fictional mysteries reflect our attempts to bring Dean back through various means, from books to controversial CGI projects that aim to recreate his image decades after his death. Writers explore Dean's myth as cultural shorthand. James Dean's influence reaches far beyond his movies. His image serves as a powerful visual code in today's culture. Writers cleverly use his likeness to instantly convey complex ideas about rebellion, alienation, and youthful tragedy. This cultural shorthand works beautifully for both commercial and artistic purposes and helps bridge generational gaps. How Dean's image sells books and ideas. Book covers of mystery novels like The James Deans and Digging James Dean show how publishers use Dean's iconic image to draw readers in. A simple glimpse of his face immediately speaks of rebellion, tragic loss, and cultural obsession to potential buyers. This visual marketing does more than just decorate. It prepares readers for the themes they'll discover inside. Coleman's and Evers's novels benefit greatly from this instant recognition. People who haven't even seen Dean's movies instinctively know what he represents: youth cut short, unfulfilled potential, and a rebellious spirit that speaks to every generation. The James Dean estate makes money from his image in many ways, and authors tap into the same cultural recognition that his face brings. Dean's image works so well as cultural shorthand because he only made 3 films. Unlike actors with long careers who evolved over time, Dean stays forever frozen in cultural memory. His meaning remains constant yet adaptable to new contexts. This mix of stability and flexibility makes him perfect for selling not just books, but entire ideas about American identity, youth culture, and celebrity worship. The proposed James Dean AI movie projects bank on this same principle. Modern audiences will understand Dean's symbolism without ever watching his actual performances. Today's writers use his image as a quick way to convey complex ideas about fame, mortality, and authenticity that would normally need lengthy explanations. Why partial visuals of Dean still evoke strong emotions. A fragment of Dean's image, just his profile famous squint or distinctive hairline, triggers immediate emotional responses. This shows how deeply his image is embedded in our culture. Like religious icons where saints are recognized by simple visual cues, Dean's partial image carries powerful emotional weight. This visual power explains why the James Dean CGI controversy strikes such a nerve. His face means more than celebrity now. It's a cultural symbol. Even technological alterations of his image cause strong reactions. Book covers use partial images because they tap into these emotional connections, creating feelings of nostalgia, loss, and rebellion without showing his full face. Dean's image works on different levels. Older generations feel nostalgia for a specific time, while younger people see him as the ultimate rebel against authority. Marketers and storytellers value this dual appeal, as shown by ongoing efforts to create a James Dean biopic or bring him back through digital means for one last movie. Coleman and Evers's works show how Dean's visual identity now exists separately from his actual performances. He has become a symbol that communicates complex ideas through minimal visual cues. Their strategic use of Dean's imagery proves the lasting cultural impact of an actor whose career lasted barely 18 months, yet continues to serve as instant visual shorthand for America's enduring fascinations. Characters reflect Dean's eternal outsider status. Literary characters often take after James Dean's outsider qualities. They bring his rebellious spirit to life for today's readers. The main characters in both mystery novels show different sides of Dean's complex personality. They become modern vessels that capture his cultural alienation from the screen. Moe's moral ambiguity and quiet rage, Moe Prager, offers a fascinating contrast to Dean's youthful rebellion. This middle-aged Jewish ex-cop carries an inner struggle that shows through his constant moral questions. He won't accept the standard story about Moira Heaton's disappearance, much like Dean rejected the conformity of the 1950s. Prager's rebellion burns quietly, unlike Dean's explosive performances. He guides himself through murky, ethical waters with a world-weary point of view. He represents what Dean might have become in middle age. The James Dean estate now targets this exact demographic. People who idolize Dean but face midlife doubts. Prager stands apart for several reasons. His Jewish identity in a mostly non-Jewish profession. He rejects police corruption and failed institutions. He exists between social worlds as both businessman and investigator. Like Dean, Prager watches society from the edges. This outsider's view gives him unique insights into his case. His moral flexibility, bending rules while following his own ethical code, mirrors the complexity that made Dean's performances powerful. A quiet rage fuels Prager's investigation. He grapples with the same questions that drove Dean's performances. What makes justice possible in an unfair world? How do we stay authentic when society demands we perform? These questions still matter today, especially with talks about James Dean AI movie projects that raise issues about authenticity. Nina's transformation from victim to avenger. Nina Zero carries Dean's rebellious spirit more directly. She changes from victim to avenger, much like Dean's rise from troubled youth to cultural icon. Her punk style brings Dean's 1950s rebellion to a new generation. She proves his outsider spirit surpasses specific cultural moments. Nina's criminal history and fight for redemption mirror the challenges faced by James Dean's CGI projects. She must settle her past actions with who she is now, just as these digital revivals try to blend Dean's real performances with modern technology. She works as a tabloid photographer, offering commentary on celebrity culture. Nina both uses and criticizes the fame machine that turned Dean into an icon. This makes her perfect to break down questions about posthumous exploitation that come with James Dean biopic attempts and digital comebacks. Nina watches and takes part in celebrity culture, just like fans who watch James Dean's last movie reimaginings while questioning if they're real. Her story shows how outsiders often move from watching to fighting back. This experience matches Dean's own path from actor to cultural symbol. Both characters reflect what makes Dean's eternal outsider appeal last. Their fictional stories help explain why his short career still appeals to new generations. This appeal leads to frequent attempts to bring him back through different media. Dean's death becomes a symbol of unresolved loss. James Dean's life came to an abrupt end, creating more than just a Hollywood tragedy. His story became a powerful literary device that continues to appeal to fiction writers almost 7 decades later. The violent car crash of 1955 turned Dean into an eternal question mark, making him perfect material for mystery writers who tackle themes of mortality and unfulfilled potential. How the 1955 crash haunts fictional plots. Dean's deadly collision with another vehicle at an intersection near Chalem, California, works as both real-life inspiration and metaphorical foundation in today's noir fiction. Coleman uses the crash as a shadow narrative that shapes his character's understanding of sudden loss. The ghost of Dean's accident lies beneath the surface every time Prager faces unexpected violence during his investigation. Life can end without warning or closure. Coleman structures his mystery around this influence. Moira Heaton's disappearance creates a void that mirrors the one left by Dean's early death. Evers takes a different approach. He uses cemetery robberies as plot devices that connect directly to our need to keep icons alive. This storytelling method reflects the James Dean estate's struggle to protect his legacy through controversial James Dean CGI projects. The crash means more than just a biographical detail. It becomes a storytelling framework that lets authors explore how unfinished stories haunt those left behind. Physical remains in Evers's novel and metaphorical ghosts in Coleman's work push characters to seek answers they'll never find, much like attempts to create a definitive James Dean biopic. Why the randomness of death fuels noir themes. Noir fiction runs on existential uncertainty and accepts that death comes without meaning or justice. Dean's random crash perfectly captures this view. Modern authors find ready-made symbolism for life's cruel randomness in his story. Both novels use this randomness to build tension as characters look for meaning in possibly meaningless events. Dean's death keeps its power because we can't explain or relate to it even after decades of analysis. This unsolvable quality makes it perfect for noir exploration, which avoids neat endings and prefers ambiguous conclusions. The James Dean last movie discussions and James Dean AI movie concepts show how we try to resist this ambiguity and complete what remained unfinished. Both novelists know that Dean's impact comes from his unfinished work rather than his completed projects. This idea appeals to readers who understand life's fundamental incompleteness. His death reminds us that some questions will stay unanswered, whatever effort we put into breaking them down. Critics debate whether Dean is misunderstood or commodified. Cultural critics and scholars remain split about James Dean's true legacy over the last several years since his death. The ongoing debate focuses on whether Dean represents an authentic artistic voice or stands as a commodified symbol exploited for profit. How readers project their own meaning onto Dean. Different interpretations of Dean show our tendency to see what we want in cultural icons. Generations have portrayed Dean as straight bisexual and gay, sensitive and aggressive, misunderstood and manipulative. Writers tend to project as much of himself, and they are mostly all men onto Dean as they captured of the real man. Warner Brothers started this projection right after his death by trying to sanitize Dean's biography, stripping away problematic parts of his life. Queer playwright W. Somerset Maugham and future gay activist Jack Fritcher saw aspects of Dean that clashed with these sanitized narratives. Dean's image shifted with changing times. Many straight male fans felt betrayed when biographies before the mid-1970s began announcing Dean's sexual involvement with other men. Dean's legacy became tangled in culture wars about masculinity itself. Why Dean's myth persists despite limited filmography. Dean's lasting cultural influence stems from his small body of work. His 3 major films left him recognized throughout the world as a signifier readily filled by several types of often contradictory iconography. This blank canvas quality makes him adaptable, and each generation seems to be able to fit Dean into its pantheon of heroes. Film critic Francois Truffaut noticed this quality and said Dean acts something beyond what he is saying. His ambiguous nature allows endless reinterpretation, while the James Dean estate profits around $5 million yearly from his image. The commercial success ended in the controversial James Dean CGI project that suggested digitally, bringing him back for new films, highlighting the clash between artistic legacy and commodification. The James Dean AI movie concept proves divisive because Dean has become the perfect celebrity, a silent one onto whom generations could project their fantasies. What these novels reveal about society's obsession with icons, ultimately, both the James Deans and Digging James Dean serve as powerful literary mirrors reflecting our culture's complex and often contradictory obsession with its fallen icons. They reveal that James Dean is no longer just an actor. He is a concept, a potent symbol onto which we project our own anxieties about rebellion, authenticity, and mortality. The novels demonstrate that society's need to engage with Dean's legacy is insatiable, whether through nostalgic reimaginings, morbid curiosities, or controversial technological resurrections. These fictional mysteries show that our fascination is fueled by the very incompleteness of Dean's story. The unresolved nature of his life and the violent randomness of his death provide fertile ground for us to explore our own existential questions. We are compelled to dig up his story, to solve the mystery of his enduring appeal, because in doing so, we are trying to make sense of the unresolved parts of our own lives. In the end, the novels suggest that the true James Dean mystery is not about the man himself, but about us, our need to create meaning, from tragedy to commodify rebellion, and to keep our icons eternally alive, even if it means loving a ghost. The enduring debate over his CGI revival is simply the latest chapter in this ongoing cultural seance, proving that James Dean's most powerful role was the one he never got to finish.